So it's Palm Sunday, March 28th, 2021, and it was 2:09 whenever I started heading for my phone and for the next part of what I'm doing to chronicle my little Easter experience. And the deal with it now is that I'm going to I've spent all day since I was woken up by Leo the Lion of wake up and hit the ground running all day with the next part of it, you know, of where I'm going, where I'm activating, what I'm doing, where I'm going to do a ritual, a ceremony, a prayer, or whatever it takes for me to clear the air and move it on, because I got shit to do, not to be stuck here playing with you. So this is that I'm letting myself and everyone else know that I'm getting ready to turn the camera around. Don't know how to do that while I'm speaking this direction. I don't seem to see there isn't a way to do it. So I'm going to be videotaping because I'm going to dismantle part of what I've done in order to eat the food that I prepared for probably an hour. That's wholesome, it's all organic, and every bit of it is fulfilling me with all kinds of combinations of stuff that divinity spoke to me through drinks, through foods that are all organically grown, and through, you know, things that I've never known. And not because I'm a hippie freak and somebody told me to do it that way. The somebody didn't have a somebody to it. It was the energy, the divinity, and every dimension that's speaking to me that said, yeah, this is where we're going now, and learning how to work me through my understanding. So I'm taking that now that I'm out of my pink dress and out of my little, you know, green combat uniform that I wear pretty routinely, and I'm back into my indigo blue. I've had a shower, I've brushed my teeth, and I've prepared my meal, and then I'm going to turn around and tour around my house and show what things look like as I continue to go with explaining how Palm Sunday is working out for me and my week of, you know, Eastering and resurrecting and the passion of me. So there we go with that. And thank you, divinity. Thank you to the tree energy, to Hornet, Bee, an incredible experience with Spider last night, up close and personal, and Cricket that came in and landed right on the number 24601, Les Mis. If you're not familiar, man, get familiar. I'm not prisoner 24601. My name is Jean Valjean. Here, take those parole papers and I'm out of here, and let me clear the air. So a cricket, when I went to go and bring in something that was sunning outside, it was drying because dryer broke. Okay, I'm gonna find a new way to do that shit before I pour money into a house that ain't legit. So I took stuff outside and laid a pink sheet over it, and when I went out to get it and bring it in, little teeny tiny cricket against the grasshopper that I had on the day I spoke to legal counsel, who was saying, well, and giant old grasshopper that was just sitting on the fence. I mean, the fence is like a barbed wire thing that's kind of jerry-rigging, not meant to be a disrespect. It was half-baked garbage of keeping a fence to, you know, that I could afford to do to keep my dogs from digging where they were. And right there, this little teeny tiny wire was hopped up this giant grasshopper and sat there almost the entire time just looking at me, and I'm looking at him standing in the sun talking to the lawyer who's going, well, I don't know. And I go, well, I know what divinity is about, and I know what divine justice is, and it's well above, you know, low court here, even the highest court and the highest place of the highest, you know, race of the, whatever. Divine justice happens well above me, and that grasshopper that big was happy to let me know, take that leap of faith and tell him where he can go with that, which is, I'm gonna send you some more information, and I understand that high court happens, and whatever came out of my mouth that I knew to say, I said it, and I went on my way, and didn't melt down very long, had a few, you know, because it's human being who's working through some of that old fear, and happy to say, no, my dear. And when I brought little pink sheet in that doubles as a curtain when it's not doubling as a sheet on my bed, and I mean, it's been real dead, dead, dead up in here as I'm clearing out. Get away from me, get off of me. You're not gonna like me taking off, and you're in my runway. You're gonna hate it. You're in my lane. Just go away. And that little teeny tiny cricket landing on the number 2, that he came in on the blanket and like hopped down onto the ground, and an insect in my house. Last night, big old spider that had been traveling around. This one was a different one, that it was standing its ground right in the middle of, an empty house with barely any furniture in it, and albino cat that she hones in on insects, man, and likes to kind of mess with them and eat them and play with them to death. And whatever dimension we're working in and healing and all that other stuff, toying and playing with life and energy like that to just, play, that's a toy that you want to have, and that's divinity and life. And no. And so I was looking at this spider, the different one than the one that was literally, I'm going to go right there and remind you in here and remind you in there. This was an even larger one and a different species. The other one has the ability to tuck up one of its little legs and only look like it has 7, plus 2 little feeties or something that it stands on. It's amazing. Haven't looked it up. However, this one, big old guy, big old woman, female energy, that was Divine Mother Spider, spoke to me. Grandmother Spider said, yeah, you're going to want to sit down and hold tight for a minute. And I was talking and leaning over her and had spent all afternoon working with energy about how not to bombastically, just come at people with bombastic energy unless I'm blasting them off of me, or that's what we're doing. However, when it's tender and it's tiny or whatever, and there's ferocious action in a spider just as much as there is in a weapon that's being fired. It depends on the intention. And she was absolutely saying, sit down. And so I literally sat on the floor and knew, listen more. And I backed away to give her space after I'm hovering over her going, I don't want mommy to, go over Mizanya Kitty, albino, Helen Killer, and she's gonna, play with you. And so mommy got instantly motivated to come into the room and bring the lesson right to me of, how about we sit down and do Trinity as this synergy right here, and Trinity of spider, albino, mommy kitty, and me. What can I learn from thee and we and what we're making? And I learned because I asked, do you wish to be transported outside to safety? Because I want to get your message, whatever it is. I don't need to, justify whatever it is. I don't need to kill you, and I don't need to, clarify anything except how might I protect you. And at a minimum, I can just scoop you up and take you outside, rescue you. And how about I listen to the divinity of Grandmother Spider, sit down and let's talk to me. And I did what I needed to with my body gently to, when mommy came hovering in, of, oh, cool, got a new friend. No, you don't have a toy. You have respect. And when I said, that's Grandmother Spider, she instantly stopped and she laid down. And whenever I said, oh, I need to back out of my space where I'm sitting, and give her some distance. And I said, I'm concerned that, farther I move away from you, the closer she is to attacking you, and understanding that, well, spider can move pretty quickly. She can, Grandmother Spider was saying, I can go if I need to. However, just sit tight for a minute. I'm going to let you know. And I had thrown a piece of blue paper, a sticky note with something written on it, crumpled it up and just threw it on the floor. Why? Because that's what I was told to do. I'm not usually a litterer. It's my house, however. I don't litter outside on Mother Earth. And that's not my thing. However, I was told just toss that and let it go. It was unfinished business that I crumpled up on a piece of paper. Literally, it was an unfinished sentence that, okay, whatever, throw it on the floor. And it was right there. And I said, perhaps if you're going to want to talk to me and get real close to me, and I need to do some work with you near my body, or pick you up, how about I start with what's around me, what's my resource, and grab that little blue turquoise paper, exactly the color of that, except crumpled up and on the floor, that was right there. And someone, Evinrude, I think, the black and white tuxedo cat, had been playing around bat, and it was right there at my side. I picked it up and I unfolded it, and I said, how about I set this up for success so that you can walk on to that little sticky note, not put the sticky side up, and go Effie Trinkerton wild with making those odds ever in our favor of me not watching you get mauled by my blind cat because I don't understand the skill enough or listen well enough or understand the energy enough to get the message. And sometimes it's just about get that spider and move her out of here, get clear in a minute, like right now. And so I did all of that and uncrumpled it, laid it flat, and put it right there, and was told, back out further, my dear. And when I did, it was move her further with you, meaning albino kitty just kind of scooched her away, swished her away a little bit, and I came over, and she did not, in fact, decide to get on the paper, and I still wasn't clear, and said, come sit beside me and let her, the blind albino, let Ms. Anya Kitty, Mommy Kitty, let her make her next move. And she did. She got a little bit closer, and I started feeling that, and next thing I knew, it was clear as hell that, let me help you with understanding. Grandmother Spider said that Anya got very interested, and she started to, by watching, paying attention, and listening to intuition, divinity, and Grandmother Spider speaking right to me that keep your eye on her, not me, because I'm a spider and I'm not a threat to thee. However, she's a threat to me. And how would you like to work this energy and this synergy and the trinergy of, is it going to transmute in quantum in a really fun and upcycling way, or is it going to just kind of laterally squash that, energy that's never resolved, and that dissonance and that, inharmonic sound where it's going to not really ever tone out in anyone's ear that I want to be near as anything I want to hear. So watching her, and I didn't create that. I allowed Mommy to make her decision, Grandmother Spider to make her decision, and Mommy started to get there, and the very minute that she was going to get and put her paw down, I instantly put my hand, my body was in motion and moving her off, and said, no, get it away. That's precious grandmother, no. And she backed off, and I said, I've got the message now that you would like to be taken outside. And I scooped her up on the paper, I believe, or scooched her along. No, actually it was, I carried her on that paper and scooched her. Yeah, I tried to, that's what it was. I put her on the paper, and she, no, I'm gonna run up your arm, which isn't where we're headed. So how about you just put me down, and instead let's just offer the paper as the guide for protection while my whole body is keeping the white tide from, eating her. And encouraged her, got her to the door. I'm like, you can go in, you can go out. And I know you could do that with a shout, whether I needed to be here or not. However, you might not make it, and the odds aren't ever in your favor when you're in the sight of the blindless albino kitty who has very keen senses, sonar hearing. And, I saw what you did to the last one you caught and mauled, and I couldn't stop, and it made me sick. So no, don't do that. And we got to the door. I opened the door, and I took her to it and scooched her up. And I said, you either go in or you go out. I know that you can come back in at any time should you care to, because the seal on the door is not that good. It's how they come in, and it's also how they leave, except in a much bigger portal of, yeah, there you go. Let me help you out without getting possibly squished in the door or eaten by a carnivorous, beautiful, sorceress, white witch, albino cat that can be quite a bitch if you're being eaten by her. So she got there, and she chose to walk up over, and on she went, and I closed the door, and that was the end of that. And little Cricket, today, same thing. Tiny, tiny little guy. Tiny, green, and I could see his eyes just fine each time he hopped just the one side. His eye was humongous. He was that big and transparent, translucent, iridescent, wings or legs, something, I don't know, that was just, I mean, that big. If I hadn't been paying attention, I would have missed it, and did not dare that, oh, grasshopper was already here, and you're reaffirming for me and confirming, thank you, universe, thank you, divinity, and let me not, let divinity be squished, and, so that one took management of, oh, my physical hands of, oh, I understood immediately, he doesn't want to be in here. A spider prefers kind of, some of them do, to dwell in here and, do their work, etc. However, not that cricket, and not in general. And an over infestation of spider is not good any more than anything else. It's out of balance. And so I knew, oh, little guy, little teeny tiny vulnerable, opposite end, grandmother spider and little teeny tiny baby cricket. And I had no idea how large it could be. I just know that was a very young entity that it didn't understand. You, friend, are bringing me a message and you're divine. However, you're not going to be fine in your divinity. You're going to be eaten in a second or squashed by rambling dogs and, etc. and the ruckus. That needs much more protection, and you have that in your natural order out there much more than in here, where there's nothing but, much bigger entities that don't have any understanding or respect yet for running it over, squishing it, not intentionally necessarily. However, I have to recognize that animals are animals, and we are one, and we all have our primal instinct, and humans are much harder to, get them away from theirs, believe it or not. So that little one, I used my hands, and I couldn't pick it up. I didn't think, because it would hop out, like, well, he's hopping over my hand. He's hopping over my hand. And so I just kept pushing him, energetically and kind of physically, until he got the message of, yeah, you got to go. It's danger, without totally running him over. And he literally jumped up eventually. Let me see that. He, right there at the door, he kept hopping back in. I'm like, no, you don't want to do quantum combat back there, dude. That's going recycling, and no, that's downcycling. You want to upcycle and have a chance there. You got to get out the door, because crickets don't live here. Not no more, as in never have. You got to go. And he turned right around as he was hopping back, and I went to usher him along like that, and he bounced and landed on number 2. So little teeny tiny baby energy of cricket that was neophyte in its, brilliance, however, enough to know its own divinity to speak to me and say, ha, there's the number 2. I'm landing on that just for you. Thanks. And when I took him outside and placed him, went like that with him, he hopped on, and I didn't ask him to jump out, of the Empire State Building. I don't know how far that little guy could have gone. I didn't want to risk it. That's not something I'm going to Google right quick and see what's the distance. I'm wasting time. How about I just do what I know is my divine, which is, I'd want to hop down after a little traumatic incident. I'd want to hop down, to my safety, not from 900 miles away, whether I could do it or not. How about I just make it easier for him on the spot? And so I did that, and he went on, and that was the end of that. And so many lessons, so many things all day in 18 minutes. Wow. Now I'm going to turn it around and let's go take a look at the rest of the house. Thank you, divinity, and thank you to Mother Nature and to Sun, to activation that is happening all over this O1, and enjoying it thoroughly, healing and growing and knowing more of what the energy and the synergy of Mother Nature is all about, masculine and feminine. It isn't related to exclusively one or the other. It has to be balanced, and true unconditional love doesn't have a particular male or female. It's balanced. We are creatures of earth who have energetic source of us that is embodied in gender, and we gender reassign, etc., and redesign, because we're trying to find that balance of divinity as masculinity and femininity. And there's an appropriate place where each one is needing to be more at the fore. When it stays completely balanced, it might get a little boring. However, I don't want to have my house set on fire if I just want to, have a campfire. There's a very big difference. So using that energy wisely, delicately, and allowing masculinity to be masculinity in its expression as it is healthy, and doing so in a very healthy and divine and loving way, as well as divine feminine, and teaching myself to use my energy and manage very well how to go very masculinity in a second, and also very soft and femininity as well, because both are needed to help innocent little neophyte energies, whether they're this tiny or this big as 300 pounds, and vulnerable energy that is spiriting up and spiriting up and spiriting away, and it's phoenixing down and trying to get up and get off the ground again and again. I'm going to spend all day learning how to manage my energy so I don't squish into eternity what really wants to be moving into infinity through that number 8 experience. So number 2, I'll have to look that up and see what little cricket might have to say. Looked up grasshopper the other day, and I believe it brought up both. However, I will be jotting it down. Today's Palm Sunday, and I have worked hard for 5 or 6 hours this morning to clear more out of the house, and have showered, put my indigo blue on, and getting ready to eat this meal that I'm going to show. And then I'm going to watch TV and rest and know that I've done my work for this amount of time, and that it's time for my feminine mommy and me. Not the albino chick, man. She's on her own. This is about me, meeting my need to comfort me and what I need, which is nutritious food that tastes really good to me, nourishing, comforting, and watch my favorite show, my movie, my whatever that is mine, whatever I decide when I get there. And if I change it 200 times, I don't care. I'm answering the call of me and relaxing until I know what the next step is of divinity to clear out the rest of the baggage and get it away from me. So 2133, thank you again, and turning it around right now, my friend.